Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is David Vaskevitch, CEO of a company called Mylio, M-Y-L-I-O. Thanks for joining us, David.
My pleasure.
Tell folks to begin with what Mylio is all about.
Well, Mylio is about your memories, a lifetime of memories, being able to have all your memories with you all the time, wherever you are, on your phone, your tablet, your computer, whether you're connected or not connected. And, for most people, the most concrete instantiation of their memories is their photos, so that's where we start.
So it's software that you've developed that runs on a variety of platforms, right?
Yep, it's software. It's a software product called Mylio that's in the Apple App Store, the Android App Store, and available on the web for PCs and Macs.
Tell us about your background and how this came about.
So, I've been interested in memory, not computer memory, human memories, all my adult life, So memories are one of the few things that only become more precious and more valuable with age. And we all have trouble, keeping track of all of our memories and finding them when we really need to. So that's a problem that's fascinated me for a long time. And so I built this product to help people solve that problem. And, another version of the same problem is it used to be in the 90s that the average person took 5,000 pictures in the course of a lifetime, which were mostly memories. But now lots of, mothers will take 1,000 pictures at a birthday party, 5,000 pictures on a weekend trip. So people suddenly have tens and hundreds of thousands and sometimes even millions of pictures, and they need a better way of organizing and managing them.
And we should mention your background a little bit. You came from Microsoft, Chief Technical Officer there.
Well, yeah. I actually started writing software in 66. That's 1966. And I wrote one of the first 3 email systems in the world in 1971. And then I had a couple of startups in the 70s, and then I was at a company called 3Com, which was where the inventor of Ethernet, that's where he was. And then in 1986, I joined Microsoft, and I did a variety of jobs. First, I worked on Windows and Office. So this was before anybody knew what Windows was and before there was an Office. So I did that for 4.5 years and rolled out Windows and the Windows Office, which is really what made Bill's dream of a computer on every desktop and in every home come true. And then I created a number of other businesses, including the enterprise business. And then for my last 8 years there, I was Chief Technical Officer for the whole company, working with Bill every day.
Just amazing. What a career you've had. And now a company like Mylio, describe for us what you're hoping to accomplish with it. This is a program that's can be used by pretty much everyone. You're making a version available for free.
Yeah. So, that's the point. Mylio is really intended for everybody who cares about their memories, everybody who cares about their photos. So, I would say if you have more than, say, 10,000 photos, which I don't know if that sounds like a little or a lot to you, but many, many people have more than 10,000 pictures on the camera roll of their phone. And then when I say you, it could be you, but it could also be your wife or your partner. It could be your family. And then we have people using Mylio in a business environment, so it could be your team. So if you have more than 10,000 photos, we hope you're going to want to use Mylio because it's a better way of organizing and managing all those photos.
And being able to view them, you do that in a unique way too. Describe that for us.
Yeah, so we have 3 or 4 different ways of viewing Mylio, but the sort of poster child is the life calendar. Now, Google and Apple have kind of a calendar in their products. There's a way of viewing pictures in chronological order, but there are 3 big differences with the Mylio life calendar. First of all, it looks like a calendar. So when I'm in day view, of course, I see the pictures for that day. But when I'm in month view, it looks like, a page from calendar showing you the month. And then, of course, in year view, you see all the months. But then we have a view that nobody else has. We have a decades view. Now, why do we have a decades view? Because now we get to the second big difference. My calendar, my life calendar, goes back to when my mother was born in 1923. So my life calendar spans almost 100 years, and that's why you want to have a decades view, because it's too hard to move around at the high level unless you have a decades view. So if you go back to 1923, 1934, you'll see a picture of my mother sledding when she was 11 years old, and you keep moving forward, there's my mother as a teenager. And by the way, you know, a lot of people have these pictures in albums somewhere, or maybe they're on a hard disk and they can go look for them. They're on my phone. They're on my tablet. If I have a notebook computer with me, they're there. They're on my desktop computer. Wherever I am, they are. So, you know, I didn't realize until I was looking through old pictures that my mother used to ride a motorcycle. Like, who would have guessed? And then you get to 1952. So there's a picture of me as a baby, my mother and my father holding me. Of course, I'm the little one. But so let me ask you, you know, I asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again. Do you have a picture of yourself as a baby?
I do.
And where is it?
Somewhere.
Somewhere, exactly. So number one, it's not clear how you would find it, and you'd have to be in the right place to find it. Like if you were visiting somebody and they were talking about, you know, your graduation, a soccer game from years ago, or yourself as a baby. In my case, it's right there on my phone, and it's with me all the time. So that's the most important view. Now, the other thing about the life calendar is it looks like a calendar with decades view. It shows you key pictures from each year. It lets you get at all the pictures, but it also shows you events. So that's another difference between us and, say, Google and Apple. So let's say, and it's interesting how we get the events. You can put them in manually, but we can also connect to your calendar. So here's another question for you. So what do you use as a calendar? Outlook, GCal, iCal?
I've been using the Google Calendar for the most part.
Okay, I call that GCal. And let's say you were planning a trip somewhere for Christmas. Would that be in your calendar?
Of course.
Yeah, so the trips you took, you know, in previous years, they're in your calendar too, right?
They would be, sure, along with the plane reservations, etc.
Yeah, so what Mylio will do is when you start up Mylio, it's an option. It will go in and pull those events out of your calendar automatically. I call it auto-magically. And then they show up in the life calendar. And so now, let's say I want to find that trip I took to Taos 3 years ago. I go and I look, and there it is, the Taos trip. I tap in that event, and the pictures from the ski trip show up automatically. Or let's take a different example. So I presume, because, you know, you're sort of running a little business, you use files and folders all the time on the computer, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so Mylio, this is another difference between us and everybody else. We store everything in the file system. We don't put it in some magical black box. And why is that important? So first of all, I know you're going to ask me later about the cloud. You can put them in the cloud, but you can also have them in your computer. And more importantly, if anything ever happened to Mylio, the files and folders will always be there. Now, the problem with files and folders, like if you're, for instance, running a business, everything is a project and every project is a folder. No matter how well organized your folder is, finding the right one is, you know, it's not always easy. So that life calendar is the best friend of the folder system. Like somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago when I went to Africa for the first time, and the answer is around the beginning of the last decade. Now, I could go searching through my folders, but instead I go to the life calendar, look back around the early 2000s. There it is, 2002, a picture of a zebra, and it's got the title is Africa with Paul and David. And then I tap in that, and there are all the pictures. And if I want to, I can then go to the folder. So that's the other view. And then you asked about viewing. The third view that people really love is the map view. So if I start out at the top, I'll see every place in the world that I've ever been that I took pictures in. And then I can zoom in. So, for example, my family, my mother and sister are in Toronto, and if I zoom in, I'll see the places I went in Toronto. Or if I zoom into England, I'll see the places I visited in England. So that's a very cool view as well. So there's lots of ways of viewing your pictures.
Besides the free version for people, there is a premium version. Describe the difference between the two.
Yeah, so in fact, there's really three versions because there's a deal in here, right? I mean, everybody loves a deal. So the free version is up to 25,000 pictures and up to 3 devices. So for a lot of people, that's all they need. The premium version is $100, and it's unlimited. Oh, and the other difference is the free version does not do raw editing. So if you know what a raw image is, if you want to get raw editing, you have to step up to the premium version. So that's $100 a year, less than $10 a month. Now, we also have a partnership with Seagate, the people who make disk drives. So there's an in-between version, which is 50,000 pictures, 4 devices, but it includes all the features, including raw editing, for 1 year if you buy a Seagate drive.
And you mentioned editing. What kinds of editing can you do?
So we do, first of all, we edit RAW and JPEGs. That's really a big deal. So, we do all you can adjust exposure, you can fix color cast, certainly, for most people, all they're ever going to do is they're going to crop, they're going to sometimes rotate. Like, why would you rotate? I don't mean, you could rotate 90 degrees, but cameras take care of that automatically. What I mean is, like, I took a really beautiful picture of geese flying across the lake, but the horizon was it was a little bit crooked. It's, it's easy to forget. So it makes you feel seasick when it looks like the water in the lake is going to run out the bottom because it's, the picture is tilted. So in Mylio, it's like 2 keystrokes to flatten that, and maybe I want to crop it so that I, take out the top or the bottom or the sides. So those, and then the third thing most people do is a picture that's overexposed or underexposed. It's really easy to just move a slider and then you can fix that. Now, we also have presets, and we ship with some presets. One of the presets, for example, turns a picture into a black and white. And I do that a lot. It's amazing how often that color picture is cool and the black and white's even more cool. So, and then we have a bunch of other, all the adjustments that a normal person would want. We're not Photoshop, but we're in that direction.
Terrific. And you continue to innovate with this. There are new features that you're working on, I guess, all the time.
All the time.
You mentioned the cloud, David. Describe for us more fully what people can do and why they might want to store pictures in the cloud.
Yeah, so our users kind of fall into 2 categories. There are some users who they just don't want their pictures in the cloud. They don't trust the cloud. Okay, here's another thing. So I was talking to a lawyer the other week, and he has about 600,000 pictures. Now, that might sound like an enormous number of pictures, and it is, but it's surprising how many consumers have 50, 100, 200, 500,000 pictures, and we have a few users with over 1 million pictures. So putting 500,000 pictures or even 100,000 pictures in the cloud could take a really long time. And then if you're shooting RAW, so this particular lawyer who's not a hobbyist, not an enthusiast, he's, like in his 60s, he has grandkids, he travels, and he likes taking pictures. He shoots RAW. So he has 8 terabytes of pictures. Now, Apple will not sell you 8 terabytes of storage. Doesn't matter what you're willing to pay, they just won't do it. Microsoft will not sell you 8 terabytes of storage. Dropbox will not sell you 8 terabytes of storage as a consumer. So, and then the biggest thing for a lot of people is privacy. No matter what Google says, no matter what Apple says, I don't want somebody else looking at my pictures. So for those people, Mylio is the only answer. So what I do is I have 2 computers at home that have all my originals, and I have 2 computers at the office that have all my originals. And Mylio keeps them all in sync automatically. So whenever I take a picture, whenever I change a picture, whenever I move a picture from one place to another, even deletions, wherever I do that, those changes are reflected in all 4 of those locations without me doing anything. I spend 0 minutes per month on backup. So
you can choose the full resolution to have them duplicated, David?
Exactly. That's what I mean by an original.
Right.
So I'm going to come to the not full resolution next. So that's one option. So if you don't want to be in the cloud, we're the only choice. Now, this is all about choice. So we give you the choice of not being in the cloud, but there are a lot of our users who wouldn't use Mylio if they couldn't be in the cloud. Like, they love the convenience of the cloud. It makes them feel safe to know that Google's taking care of their pictures, or Amazon. So we allow you to be in the cloud, and then we do something else unique. We offer you choice. So we support Google Drive, Amazon Cloud Drive, and OneDrive. So who else offers you choice? And then the third thing we do, which is even, I think, more interesting, is we allow you the choice of encrypting your pictures when they're in the cloud. So this, in a way, is the best of both worlds. I can have my pictures in the Google Cloud, where Google will make sure that they're always safe. And because they're encrypted, I know that Google can't look at them even if they want to. So that's what we do in the cloud. So now you asked about full-sized pictures, right?
Right.
Yeah, so here's a problem. So I mentioned having all my pictures with me all the time. And then the question is, how do we do that? Like that lawyer with the 8 terabytes of pictures. Not only will Dropbox not sell them 8 terabytes, you can't buy an 8 terabyte phone. You can buy a computer with 8 terabytes of storage, but not a notebook computer, and that's a really expensive computer. So what we do is automatically, I call it auto-magically, Mylio creates a reduced-sized version of all your originals. We call it a preview. But our previews are different than everybody else's in 2 ways. First of all, they're indistinguishable from the original on a Retina class display. You can't tell that you don't have your original with you when you're looking at the pictures on your phone. But they don't take any space. So I, too, have about 600,000 pictures, and I have a 1 terabyte iPad, and all 600,000 previews take up less than half the space of that iPad. Not originals, previews. Now, the third thing that's unique about our originals is you can edit them. So, so this really comes in useful when you travel. Like, we went on a trip to Mexico, and I took a lot of pictures on the beach, and then, so I loaded those pictures into my computers. Now, Mylio tries to make sure it always has 2 copies of those big originals. So I had a notebook computer and an iPad. So it kept a copy of the originals, but then it put the previews everywhere else. So now I'm sitting by the phone looking at the pictures. But here's the interesting thing. So the pictures that I took in that trip, I loaded pictures after about 3 or 4 days. And me being a picture taker, I had a lot of pictures. They took 4 days to get home because the internet connection from Mexico was pretty slow. They only took 7 minutes to get to all my other computers and tablets and phones that I had with me. And then I immediately, but not only that, while I was away, I was working on pictures I took in a previous trip. Because of the way Mylio works, I always had all my pictures with me all the time because of those previews.
Wow, sounds really handy for people who travel and for all kinds of uses, obviously, not just even traveling. Terrific for that.
Yeah. Well, here's another scenario. So we were talking, let's say you're a real estate agent, or you make jewelry and you travel around the country selling it, or you create websites. You can have your whole portfolio with you all the time also. If your phone is with you, if your tablet is with you, if your computer is with you, all your pictures are there. And here's the best part, whether you use the cloud or not, they're there even if you're disconnected.
Terrific. So you've put a pretty nice team together working on this at Mylio.
Absolutely. We're proud of them.
And one of the things that you're doing is talking about how this software can work with Microsoft's new mobile device.
The Duo is a very interesting device because, so here's the challenge. I already talked about how you can have all your pictures with you on your phone, and I do. And we've worked really hard. I can't even tell you how many hours we put in at figuring out ways to make Mylio really work well on a single screen. I have to tell you, there's a limit to how good a job you can do with a limited number of pixels. So given a choice, I would always rather work with my pictures on a tablet or a computer than on a phone. Well, the Duo solves that problem for the first time. When you fold it up, it's the size of a phone. It fits in any pocket that I have, my back pocket, my shirt pocket. When I open it up, it has the same amount of screen real estate as an iPad mini. Now, the problem is that it has a hinge in the middle. So unless you specifically design your software to understand that hinge and still take advantage of the 2 screens, it's either not going to look very good in the Duo or it's going to look the same as it does on an ordinary phone. So what's the point, right? So, for example, on a Duo, I can have a bunch of pictures on the left and a map on the right, and then I'll see all the pictures, all the places those pictures were taken. Or on a Duo, I can have a set of pictures on the left and then look at an individual picture on the right and scroll through. And then if I want to edit the picture, when I tap on the edit button, the picture moves to the left screen and the edit controls all show up in the right screen, and that works really well. So we've worked really hard in that the Duo becomes, so here's where the Duo would come in. I'll give you two scenarios where the Duo would become magical because of Mylio. So one is that traveler. You know, I'm going on a quick trip to, I mean, not today because people don't travel, but I'm going on a quick trip to San Francisco and I have my phone or my camera or both. And you know what? I'm just tired of always taking a computer. I don't want to take one with me, but I want to work on my pictures. Or maybe I'm on a cruise ship and when I went offshore and I took a bunch of pictures and then I want to look at them at the pool and I don't want to drag a tablet or a computer with me. So I've got the Duo, I open it up, and now I'm as productive as I am on a tablet. Or, here's another one, that real estate agent, that claims adjuster for an insurance company. So now when I'm out there taking pictures at an accident site, I can look at the pictures afterwards, or if I want to show, if I'm a realtor and I want to show somebody houses, the Duo becomes a really great environment for doing that.
Terrific. It's an expensive device, but like you said, it's very versatile.
Yeah, and it's a glimpse at the future.
So for more information on all that you're doing there, David, where's the best place for people to go?
Mylio.com. M-Y-L-I-O, Mylio.com.
Mylio.com. And we have to congratulate you on the career that you have and that you've had, David, at Microsoft and here and everything else that you've done in between. Wonderful stuff. You've affected all of our lives.
Thank you. My pleasure. Mylio is a labor of love, and the thing that makes me happiest is that we have a lot of users who love using it.
Now this. It takes a lot of listening to build a better radio, and that's just what the folks at C. Crane have done. Bob Crane and his crew, nestled among the rivers and tallest trees in the world in Fortuna, California, have made a habit of listening to their customers. And that's just what they've done in building the CC Skywave SSB, the Swiss Army knife of portable radios. For everyday listening to AM or FM in the yard or patio or on the nightstand without having to drain a mobile phone battery, it's a great companion. But it is also a companion equipped for NOAA weather information and alerts that can be life-saving. You can listen to FEMA and Coast Guard transmissions too. Beyond all of that, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world. It's compact, easy to take with you, and built to last. The CC Skywave SSB. Click on the link at Techstination.com.